Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube? This is SEL0320 representing JVS. So I'm back here again for another review. This is an advanced screening review for Silence, Martin Scorsese's brand new film starring Andrew Garfield, Liam Neeson, and Adam Driver. And I gotta say, you guys, they had been saying critical acclaim over this movie for months. And I didn't know if I'd actually be able to get into the screening, and thankfully I was, because it was a masterfully made movie in a lot of regards. Like when I looked at Birth of a Nation, when you're talking about oppression and religious turmoil and the dissection and the ripping apart of somebody's morals and their faith, that's what this movie was that Birth of a Nation really couldn't be in a lot of different ways. And I mean, that's not knocking Birth of a Nation, but I'm just telling you that I literally witnessed Andrew Garfield from him being a man of faith, character, valor, and a little bit of ununderstanding the way of the world worked, to just being dissected. Like he was religiously oppressed. And I'm not just talking about from torture or physical way. Most of his torture in this film was all psychological. So a lot of people, I think, are going to go into this movie thinking that, he's going to be tortured and there's all this different kind of stuff that's going to happen to him. It's not necessarily that kind of film. It is the dissection of somebody that chooses to wholeheartedly believe in God and faith and has taken an oath. And then that got, man, it was rough. I'll go ahead and break this down, though. So as far as the direction by Martin, this was directed well, and the script for it was even better done. I think it's based off of a book, but in terms of screenplay and in terms of how they go from seamless scenes, and then oh my gosh, the imagery. They show all different forms of Japan as far as culturally, as far as the span of it, and as far as just the Asian culture in general, as well as the religious parts of being a priest in the 1600s, because this is when it took place. And I think that they did an amazing job with showcasing this in every way. Like, it wasn't just that they spent more time with just the religious side of being a person that's being a priest and having an oath and, asking for absolution and, what I'm saying, like all the different forms of that. But they also paid so much nudge to the Asian community and to Japan in that era, and just the imbalance that there was between, a people and faith. Like there, it was Buddhism and there was other different kind of religions, but the form of Christianity in and of itself was indicative of something that was a mockery, or that something that they were like, no. And for me, being a man of God and a man of faith, I was watching this and I was sitting there thinking to myself, I was like, how could I, even as a man of God, sit there and watch, somebody getting oppressed for choosing to willingly believe in something that, brings them not only joy, but absolution and understanding. And then to know that watching that person, they're going to die for that. And then the more that I push that or motivate that will cause even more pain. And that's the thing about that. Anybody that is a man of faith, as of right now, and thinking about the prospect of going, and preaching the gospel, so to speak, will go in their minds and they're like, wow, this is what it's really all about. And then there's going to be a point in the movie that, just like the character, he has to figure out if this is what he can continue to do. Is this something that, will end or save lives in his own heart? And I think that the way that they do that is through the acting. Andrew Garfield, to me, nailed this. There were moments in this film that I was sitting there watching him from the beginning, him trying to preach the gospel to these people. And then this is his understanding of just how faith-centered some of these people were, and their limitless amount of belief and understanding of not only a paradise or a heaven or hell, but their yearning to want to know more about God. And I was just witnessing him see them, I was just like, wow. And then when he starts really having to go through it, and actually going days without eating and different things that were happening. Like Andrew just nailed it, and that's not to say that Andrew Garfield, Adam Driver didn't do any better. Like they played off each other in the scenes that they were in very well. But I'm gonna tell you this: Liam Neeson wasn't in the film a lot, but when he was there, I was just like, I don't want to spoil it, but man, it was rough. The scenes that him and Andrew Garfield went through, it was hard to watch. And then not just that, like even for Andrew Garfield's character and the metamorphosis as you see him disintegrate, not physically necessarily. I think that they did this amazingly, and I think that as far as the story is concerned, this movie is not for everybody. This movie is like 2 hours and close to 50 minutes long. Like, I mean, this is like Titanic long. But it's like when you witness is what's happening and the art form and how faithful they are to not just, as I said, the religious side of this, but as far as the culture and the community and the era that this was in, this was just a masterpiece in and of its own right. I think that my friend Jarrell, he loves and thrives off of movies like this. I can almost kind of predict that he's gonna really enjoy this film. But I thought it was great. I thought they did a great job. It was really hard to watch. I don't know when. I think if I went back and looked at it again, I would find joy out of it. It's not a movie that you can sit there and watch over and over and over again. You have to appreciate it for the experience that you have to go through with it. Absolutely, in my opinion, this should be nominated for Best Picture. And I think that Andrew Garfield is long overdue. I didn't see Hacksaw Ridge, heard nothing but great things about it, but in this role, he owns this role. And I think that he really, in my opinion, should really get nominated. I think the latter part, the third half of the film, is gonna dry some people out. I think like literally they're gonna be dried out, like I'm tired of this movie kind of thing. But if you sit through it and you watch it all the way to the very last sequence, you will feel something. And that's coming from a person, as I said, I have a love for God and I have a love for people that, have untamed faith and people that, are always strained. I think the thing about this film at its core is that we all fall. We all, like have different moments of failure and like drawing back and drawing away, but what's to say that you cannot be forgiven for those things in a God that loves, And I think that at its core, there's a lot of different themes that happen throughout this film, whereas a specific character you keep seeing come up. I forget his name. I think it's Kachirko. I forgot. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but is a character that keeps on asking for absolutes and asking and keeps failing. But I think it was a metaphor for something totally deeper. And if you would understand it, you would get what I mean by that. And I think that that is kind of the core of this film in terms of like failure and loss and denial and just ridding yourself of faith or trying to grasp and hold on to it with your life more than, life itself. So I don't know. I thought it was really good. It was really interesting. Very smart film. Very well written. Very well produced. Very well directed. Scenery is amazing. Very well acted. This should be, a really nominated for Best Picture. That's all I have to say. 10 out of 10 for me. I enjoy Silence. Hopefully you enjoyed this review. I know I went a little bit longer than I could, but I pray y'all have a great day. Have a great afternoon. And amazing January. Welcome to 2017. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Peace, everybody.